RapidDev is the 10th fastest growing company in the Northeast. We've been able to grow to $500,000 a month in sales in the last 5 years, starting from zero, completely bootstrapped, $0 in funding as well. And the goal now for us is to foster an ecosystem of people who want to help resell through their own business the hottest service on the planet at this point, I believe, which is AI development, no code development. There's a huge shift happening in the world right now. And we want to help enable businesses to add this as a service, similar to website design. The way we see it is website design went through a similar evolution, and tons of companies offered website design, even if they didn't specifically do website development as their core business back at the turn of the millennium. And we want to do the same thing with AI development, essentially, through all of your businesses. Like I mentioned, we believe there's millions of dollars, not just from the millions of dollars we've been able to generate every year in revenue, but also millions of dollars just sitting in there in each of your guys' networks, in each of the businesses you have that you can use and grow by selling AI development as a service. I already mentioned this, but some other things that you can think of for us is we also have worked with some really big brands. So like Home Depot, Trader Joe's, Nestle, Pepsi. We're the #2 ranked agency on the Bubble.io marketplace, which has hundreds of agencies on there. And our whole mission statement is to help businesses build custom AI no-code applications 5x faster and cheaper than traditional development services. So if you want to connect with me, I know I'm probably already connected with all of you guys, but anyone who's listening to this online, feel free to scan that QR code or just find me on LinkedIn. Happy to talk. I'm very passionate about automation, productizing services, community building. Also sold my business for $1 million back in June 2024, which was called Twiz/AgencyGo. The AgencyGo is a product within Twiz that we built on Bubble and used a lot of no code and AI systems to grow and scale that business. I'm now the Chief Growth Officer at RapidDev, so helping with all things strategic, and very excited about being part of the team here. So why this might be a perfect fit for you, and I've sort of mentioned this to each of you guys one by one, but I want to just dive deeper into this real quick, which is, and if you have the document, feel free to jump down to this section because every section you can look through the table of contents. I'll put it in the description for anyone online who's not part of the meeting today, but the table of contents kind of points you in each direction. And it has a little bit more details and explanations as to why we're doing this. But if you go to this section, why this might be a perfect fit for you. If you sell services that take time to close, let's say it's real estate is a good example, and you want to offer real estate marketing. That's actually how I sold my last business. Was we were a real estate property management company. Real estate takes time to close deals, sometimes years to facilitate relationships. And then eventually they sell their house and you get a commission. That's a long sales cycle. But right now, everybody wants AI in their businesses. It's way quicker of a sales cycle. So you can offer this as a complementary service to your current services. The other way is to parallel offer to boost revenue. So if you want to help your clients build apps that automate their business operations, I want to make this really, really clear for everybody. The way you should think about this revolution that's happening is every business is becoming AI enabled right now. Like how every business was becoming website enabled and coming online. So it's the same seismic shift in the economy that's happening at this point in time. And what we want to work with y'all on is just to get as many people as possible building these things out and being the conduit for that. And then the last thing is you just want to focus on relationships and sales. I mean, this is very common. It's not always the case that people should be building out operations, should be building out fulfillment. Sometimes their core strength is just relationship building and sales and being the visionary of the company. They don't need to be the one fulfilling everything for clients. So that's why we come in and do that part for you. Why we're doing this, what's the catch? You might be wondering, because why are we giving away all this stuff for free? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, we believe that partnerships are the next big growth lever for us. At a certain point of scale that we've hit, the best way to keep growing is by getting as many people in our ecosystem as possible and scaling through them. it's also just part of our ethos. We really like collaborating with people. We always have, and we've always worked with a lot of different partners on projects. So it's just very aligned with the next step of our evolution. But we think this can make us into a billion-dollar company by aggregating the ecosystem and putting a lot of our capital to work to do so. So a good thing to think about when we're going through all of this, and even with the partnership system that I have set up for you guys, we're actually deploying capital right now to spur the growth of this ecosystem. And I'll dive into this a little bit later in the presentation, but there are ways for us to actually contribute capital to help build your companies in various different ways. I'll kind of explain. And that could look like time. For example, me and my executive team meeting and giving advice on how to grow your business. Obviously, we charge, like all of you guys do, money for that, but we want to give it to people for free. The other way is deploying our team's resources and actually paying our team to do work for your company. That could be helping to spin up like marketing campaigns, all sorts of things. Or it could just be straight up paying for things to help co-market. And there's a lot of things I'll dive into there as well. But I mean, the vision is kind of like AWS. If you're familiar with Amazon Web Services, when they first launched, they gave away $20,000 each to companies in credits to run their systems on the AWS cloud platform. And that was hugely effective. I mean, now they're way more successful even than the normal Amazon retail business. And this is because of what they were able to do with building this enormous ecosystem of partners. So you guys are key to our growth, and we want to invest in you. So another way to look at this is just white labeling in general. I got this photo of this group called the Carroll Group, who I heard about recently, and they're the #1 Compass real estate team, right? Now, you don't have to actually do this. You don't have to say that you are a RapidDev team, but it is something to think about in terms of how real estate works, right? Any agency of a certain size, and if you look at agencies that are like Hawk Media is a good example. They are a huge agency in Los Angeles. They aggregate a bunch of other service companies into working with them. So that is what inevitably happens to larger agencies is they have to maintain that boutique feeling for their customers in order to thrive. And this is just everything you want in a business. You want really talented people like all of you guys to basically communicate with the clients with and for us or together to maintain that really boutique feeling that they're going to love and they're going to keep coming back and keep buying from because they trust you because you know what you're talking about and you actually have a lot of experience and business experience, and that's what they want at the end of the day. So in terms of how we want to structure these partnerships, there's 3 different tiers, right? And this is kind of what I meant by like the financial side of things, that where we're kind of reinvesting into the ecosystem. So depending on where you guys are at right now, I would really consider like which of these steps you want to aim for if you decide to work with us. So everyone basically starts off at the entry tier, which is level 1, and that's all the things we're doing today: sales, fulfillment, marketing support, all of our education. There's no cost, but we're investing time and resources into you. But we're also starting to integrate with your business. So, for example, we're making branded proposals for companies that you're talking to. We are helping you close deals. We are building automations to help get your operational infrastructure as smooth as possible. It is kind of like an incubator. I mean, that's how you should think about it, is we're essentially incubating companies that we hope will white label us. It's the same reason, like, for example, I just heard about some accelerators recently where they'll invest in a couple of the companies, but they offer the accelerator either for free if they get in, or it's like a small fee. In this case, it's free, but it's the same concept. It's like, we know that not everyone's going to move up the ladder, and that's fine. But we want to give as much support to each of you guys as possible to incubate this partnership and hopefully get higher up the ladder. The second tier is once you actually close a deal with us or start bringing a lot of deals together, that's when we're talking about like financially supporting in deeper ways. So, for example, we might co-market an event. Like, let's say you want to do an event in your local area. We might drop $100 or a couple $100 or something to co-market that opportunity. This is once there's actually deal flow happening between our businesses. The other way is like if we want to help build up your social profiles, for instance, we might put some of our existing social media team into helping your business grow and actually accelerating that through social and putting money and time, not just our own time resources, but actually money behind some of the things we do. This is also deeper integration. We're meeting potentially more often, and it's really scaling and growing together. The third tier is really when we're scaled up. So when we're really at scale, there's even possibilities for M&A. So we have done M&A in the last 12, 24 months with companies where we've brought them literally into working with RapidDev. And in a lot of cases, there's a financial component to this. So just know that there's multiple levels. Now, that high end M&A possibility is always potentially a thing, but it isn't extremely often, of course. I don't want to get everyone's hopes up, but we do want to foster an ecosystem where, in theory, we could have someone come into our incubator, grow with them, and then potentially even buy or bring them into our company as an employee or a partner at a higher level where there's more of a financial commitment. So that this is the ladder that we're putting everyone through. And when you think about goals with our company, again, you should think of it as similar to Bubble, right? So a lot of you guys are familiar with the Bubble ecosystem and how they have fostered all these agencies who have basically grown with them. It's the same concept, which is basically the more you do with that Bubble ecosystem, the more you get out of it. We're trying to do the exact same thing. That's how Bubble's been able to grow into, I believe, $1 billion company. I'm not sure what their valuation is at the moment, but a huge company. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with our business. So it's really not like there's no real catch. It's just how businesses like ours who really want to get to the next level is through something like that. So I kind of touched on this, so I won't spend too much time on it, but what you get as a partner is sales support. This is a key piece that I want to really stress is we're already paying. We have over 150 people on our team. In a lot of cases, we're already paying for these people to do sales or to do operations or to do marketing. So we can install these people into your company in specific ways. So in that way, you can actually utilize them. So for example, oftentimes we hear that a lot of partners will get burned out with their fulfillment provider because they have to do everything. They have to write the proposal. They have to communicate with the fulfillment provider. There's no proactivity. There's no systems in place. There's nothing like that, right? So we want to eradicate that from day one. And the way we're going to eradicate it is, again, by getting people who are already on our team to insert themselves into your processes and proactively set these things up for you. So on the sales side, it could be you can loop us into sales calls. This is very common. You can tell them as much as you want. If you want to tell them we are RapidDev, or you just want to tell them we're part of your team and we're contractors, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to share with them is totally fine. You can think of it as an e-commerce company who uses a specific fulfillment provider. I'm pretty sure none of you guys, I mean, I don't know, can tell me the exact factories where most of your guys' stuff comes from. It's a very similar thing, right? Like if I wanted to know, I could find out. Yeah, I'm sure the company wouldn't withhold that information unless it was super proprietary, but they would share it if I needed to know, right? A lot of times. So it's a similar concept. Operationally, nowadays with AI, I mean, again, we're an AI development company. So we want to use our AI development team to help build out AI automations for you, help you build out technology in your business. I mean, even in certain cases, like we have some partners who are buying our services at a discount right now because they want to grow some of these things. And maybe we just offer it to them for free because we want to accelerate their growth. It's a case by case situation, but we want to actually invest as much as possible. Marketing support, again, we get hundreds of meetings booked every single month from being on these marketplaces like Bubble and G2 and all these places that give us a lot of leads. And we know how to do that. So we can help you do the same thing, right? It's a win-win if you're white labeling us that we can do that for you. And then the executive support piece is key. These weekly, bi-weekly calls, I really want to stress on. Now, I do want to talk about this because I know that this is a big piece for all you guys, and we definitely want to share as much as we possibly can about this, which is just how we got to $500,000 a month in sales from zero over the last 5 years. And we're going to keep diving deeper and deeper into this each week. So I'll have a different I'll have a different presentation planned every time we meet. And for each phase, it'll go into deeper things on like how we actually did this and how you could do the same. But these are just some key points here, which is one, we really believe that we caught a trend. We didn't fight our customers either. So a lot of times people want to tell people what they should buy instead of just giving them what they want. I think the key thing is we just gave people what they wanted and we rode the trend, which is AI and automation. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. But in our case, there were some other things that helped us out. But that was a huge piece of this was we literally rode like one of the biggest waves in the last 20 years, which is AI, no code, etc. The second thing is our rankings on Bubble, G2, all these marketplaces being featured in Inc. magazine. It just shortens the sales cycle so much when people can see that you're already very trustworthy and other people have done that vetting for you. The third thing is the systems that we have on the sales side. So we have an 8-person sales team, and we also have an independent team that does specifically proposals and creates them for people. Because of this, and because we were able to operationalize sales, and this is why I'm so adamant about being clear that there's a lot of stuff we can actually set up for you guys, because with any business, there's an operational component to each aspect of that business. There's marketing operations, there's sales operations, there's just operations, fulfillment operations. And nowadays, a lot of that can be automated. And a lot of that is automated with our sales team internally. So we want to help install that into your company. So that way we can have a system that's smooth, seamless, etc. And then the last thing is deliver what we promise. So we've done over 250 successful projects. And again, we've worked with some huge names. One of our biggest values is that we are going to finish the project no matter what and get the client to be happy no matter what. Um, and that just requires an aggressive energy to get people exactly what they're looking for. So because of all things, they compound. And now, I mean, and again, this is something to think about, right? Because we have all this trust, you could completely white label us, right? That's totally fine. But also, you could do what Compass did with that one example I made earlier, where that real estate agent says that they're the number one Compass partner. Now, we'd want to work with you on the wording of that because if we're just getting started, that probably isn't the case. But you could utilize our brand. It's the same reason why we utilize Bubble's brand, right? Because Bubble is trustworthy. A lot of people use Bubble. Now, a lot of people use RapidDev and work with us. We can be leveraged to that capacity to help you grow. And, we're happy to make sure that when we're working together, if you introduce us to someone, that there's a certain window of time where, we're not going to reach out to them or talk to them. And if you just want to pilot it for one person at a time, that's fine, right? We can walk, crawl, run when we're working together. And that's really what I'm trying to get across with all this is I'm not asking everyone to commit fully on this right now, but I am just saying, give us a chance, pilot with us. All of our partners who we've worked with to date have been very happy with us. But I want to make sure we respect your time and give you the value that you're looking for. So in one of the last slides here, I just wanted to give you guys a case study, just with a hypothetical person that we're working with. This is not a real person, but this is an example of what we could do together. So I separated it into the pre-sale and the post-sale. So Sally, let's say, is one of our agency partners. She owns a marketing agency and she wants to add development services to her company. So on the pre-sale side, she first identifies that 10 to 30% of her leads that she gets to the door are interested in development services. And the way she identifies this could literally just be, hey, by the way, I'm thinking about offering this service. Is this something you're looking for? And she starts notating a lot of people actually do want this, which to be honest is probably what we'll find with all of your businesses is everyone's going to say they want this because it's the hottest service right now for most people. The next step would be to loop in our company, which can be in very different ways. You could loop us into calls. We have the sales team to do that. I have many of them who can work with you. You could loop me into a call. You could just keep us completely behind the scenes and say, hey, by the way, here's the call recording. This is what they're looking to build. Can you make me a quote and a proposal? And we can whip that back around to you in just a couple of days. It's a very detailed proposal. and we could be on the next call, or we could just give it to you and show you how to do it and make a little Loom video that you can share with the prospect, or just gives you a transcript with all the bullet points of exactly what to say so you don't have to go in there blind. That branded proposal can be made for your company, where we literally customize it for you, and we can work in Canva. We could do whatever, but we insert it into your business with the margins that you want, right? Because our costs are typically around $70 an hour for most work, but we'll discount it case by case as we're kind of getting working together. It's not a guarantee that we'll do discounts on the white label side, but there are times where we have done discounts for products to get things going if you're selling a certain type of service. So again, not a guarantee, but it can happen. So just assume that everything's around $70. And one thing that I learned from my last company is you can, there's two things that are important to keep in mind. One, let's say you charge $120 and we charge $70 or we charge $60. It can fluctuate, or 50 even in some cases. Well, if that were to happen, then people are still likely to buy. And you shouldn't feel scared by charging like a higher price. I learned this with my last company. I had a lot of partners who would work with us in my last business, and they could always charge 30%, 50% more because they were buying the relationship with that partner. You have to remember that each of you guys has a huge amount of skill and knowledge and business know-how, and you could give that to people as something you offer as a service, right? There's no reason that they shouldn't pay for that. So that's why it's valuable. And you also have to remember, if you charge like a 30% markup, that's pure profit that you're getting. You might have to communicate with the client, but we're going to be giving you all the deliverables. So you're going to be meeting with them anyways if you're already working with them on other projects. And over time, as we scale, we can kind of have more and more of our people work with you as well and work with your customers. So let's say this customer loves the proposal and now they want to move forward and we're in the post-sale side. This is where the client onboarding comes in. So you can, again, choose to loop us in or not. This is where we want to really define the process with you and work with you on setting this thing up. And then we'll provide the ongoing fulfillment for this project. Ideally, and I would say over 90% of the cases, we're not communicating with the client after the onboarding process. We're giving you everything and you're sharing it with them. And then they're giving feedback through something like Figma or through Loom or even just through Bubble. And all of these don't actually require you to be in the loop at all, other than sharing the feedback with us. Or if we're all working on the same document or the same Figma file, we can just look at the comments and add it to our Jira board or add it to our board or our Asana board or wherever we want to work out of, to basically track tasks that we're going to give to the client. So that's the one piece to keep in mind. And then the last thing here is business growth, right? We can grow together in a number of ways. Like I said earlier, we can invest in you. You're already investing in us, and we can ramp that investment up as we grow. We can also add 100 grand or more to your income, your personal income, just through working together. And I truly believe that. I've seen it happen many times. And why stop there, right? If you really love this and you want to make this a core part of your service, there's no reason you couldn't add another 7 figures of business by installing our services into your company. So why you should join the partner cohort? You guys are already in one of the batches. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just know that the people in this one might not be on the next one because I'm going to be launching these in different cohorts in small batches. But the goal is that we're going to be here reviewing deals together, training on different growth topics, and troubleshooting problems. Most of the meeting will be me teaching a different subject, and I'll be sending out the invite for the next meeting here soon after this one. But also to go through and try to chop things up together. I want to really stress that this is a B2B service incubator more so than anything else. So we want you to grow. If you guys don't grow, we're not getting any business anyways. So we want you to grow your business. That's very important. So you don't just have to talk about the deals with us. You can talk about any deal. And if we can stimulate your growth, then we're more likely to succeed as well. Now, on the training side, these are the different aspects of the cohort, which we're going to go over every time we meet. It might be weekly. It might be biweekly. Again, I'm going to shoot out an invite well in advance and work with you guys on figuring out the right time. Every time it will be recorded, but if you don't join, you're going to miss a lot of the interactivity and Q&A portions of the meetings. But the 4 parts are foundation and positioning is one. So helping you figure out how you're going to actually install this into your business. The second is prospecting and deal structuring. So this is where we actually create the branded, this is where we actually create the pricing. So that way we figure out exactly how you're going to make a margin on this, where you're going to get your deals. Closing and proposal execution is where you make the proposals, how you think through the contracting process. And then the deliveries, client success, and scaling is the last piece of the process. And that is going to be the fourth session. So again, these are 4 different sessions. If you are not already in our Discord channel, I definitely recommend just scanning this QR code and joining. I'll approve you guys if I already know, since I already know you guys who are on the call. Anyone who's watching this, it's an application because we get a lot of people who are trying to join, and we want to make sure that it fits within what we're looking for. And then access our partner program PDF. This is something different than what I put in the chat link, but this is our partner program PDF, which outlines kind of our different Q&As, how or FAQs, different case studies we worked on, etc. So thank you guys. That's the presentation for now. Again, I would love to see everybody on next week, or sorry, not next week, next time we meet, which could be next week, but I'll be letting you guys know exactly when that will be. But that concludes the section on presentation and everything like that. So I want to jump next into really quickly, because I know you guys got a lot of things going on today, and I don't want to have to take up too much of your time. Just if you want to, I'm just going to rapid fire each of you guys. Feel free to share where you're at with this, and if you feel like you have any questions. So I'll start with Will. Where do you have any questions for me? Slash, what's your feeling? Like, do you think this is something that you might want to offer? Are you still exploring? There's no wrong
Definitely
answer
still
here. So
exploring. I know because we've had this conversation before, but I feel like we're, both bubble agencies, but in totally different parts of the marketplace.
yeah,
Freelancer services kind of tend to be down in the lower end, and then I've got a couple who are at the absolute top and missing the middle. Whereas I
yeah,
think it sounds like you guys are really good at, landing 30 to 50K dev projects, which,
yeah,
that's a great spot to be in, but hard to break into too. I mean, I'm really here to talk about how the sausage is made, I guess, if
yeah.
you will. What does a proposal look like?
Yep,
Are you willing to share any?
of course, of
What kind
course.
of internal tools are you using to manage projects? How does communication work? Like, all those
Yeah,
like hardcore flows, and then
yeah,
kind of marketing stuff too. Like you mentioned like setting up email campaigns. Like, are you doing like an instantly AI where you're like buying
hmm
domains and warming up the emails, like that part of the package, or is this just
yeah,
get added to a pre-made email list that you guys already have like working well?
yeah,
I guess I'm here for like
hmm
itty gritty brass tacks,
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So on the proposal side, what I'll do is I'll redact one of the proposals I sent out recently, and I'll send it in an email to everybody. So there's a good example, because I agree that's it's a good thing to have, and it'd be good to see. So I'll get that to you after this meeting. But I just need to take out some of the some of the like sensitive details. But the question on the email marketing is a great question. It's case by case, right? On what you guys want to do. We have multiple ways we're getting interactions with people and leads. Uh, One of the ways that's been highly effective is launching your own podcast and having co-marketing opportunities where we get you guys on our podcast and then we promote it. And at the same time, we do have a lot of people on our team and we're kind of growing our social media. So like when we co-promote something, we can typically get a good amount of views on it. So that's one way. But one of the things I did in my last business, and we're doing now with RapidDev is uh, podcasting and community building are great ways to grow leads. And it doesn't have to stop at just our community and our podcast. Like we could actually help you set up one and show you how to get people on and show you how to target the right kind of people using like Apollo, Clay, and how to get them to opt into something when they book the podcast interview. So in that way it's consensual. So you could say like, hey, at the end of this, I'm just curious if you're interested in talking about like what I offer. you're going to get like 20% of people to say yes. The other option is, trying to help you position yourself well in these marketplaces. If you want to try to get more leads, Upwork's great, obviously. Trying to figure out the best way to position yourself on these bubble marketplaces or anywhere else. It's highly case by case, but in terms of outreach, that's big. And then I'll leave you with one more thought, which is I'm really big on personal relationship building. An example co-marketing venture, which I was tossing around yesterday with with somebody who is in that tier 2 partnership at this point, is why don't we like help you subsidize a local event that you can host, or why don't we help you, you know, get into networking events that we help pay for the ticket costs or something. There's a lot of these micro opportunities that actually turn out to be like the biggest ones, but people tend to overlook.
You willing to buy some beers at the Portland Bubble Meetup?
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So I kind of see this as a rolling thing where I guess the cool thing is that the proof is already there that we're investing, because there's a lot of ways we do it. Sometimes people just straight up come and work with us and we're paying them a salary and they like roll their business into ours. Other times we're like actually buy their company. Other times we're just co-marketing together. So it really depends. I mean, honestly, so I don't know if that answered all your questions. I think I might have answered two. I think you had a third one, which
Nuts and bolts, how the sausage is made. There's some, tool stacks and
yeah,
flows. But that, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, in terms of the proposal writing process, we do have a templated one where we basically will, I'll say for all of you guys, one key piece that I think is important is scoping projects is actually pretty simple on the intake side, not the creation side, but like for the sales rep, because you're basically just asking them to describe what they want to build. And a lot of times these people already know what they want to build. And as long as you're using like a recording tool, they'll typically tell you everything that they want. And then you just say like, oh, do you have any examples of websites that are like this or apps that are like this? And they'll usually say it. And then after that point, that's when the difficult part happens. But we deal with that part because we make the proposal, we take the recording, we'll turn it in. So like some of that nuts and bolts side is the process, which I'll kind of go into it as we go here, but of like how we actually turn those proposals into, or these transcriptions into proposals, and how our team goes through and like quotes everything out. So that's key, I would say. But that part is pretty easy for the partners and for the sales reps because they're just asking questions and then it's recorded, so they don't have to do the actual proposal. That's one way we've been able to get so many out every month. It's a key piece. But that's good. I'm glad to hear that, Will. And again, for all of you guys, I'm happy. It's totally fine if you're still exploring. Eric, I'll jump to you. Where are you at with everything? And again, no right answer. And also, do you have any questions about anything so far?
Yeah, so I'm in my 5th month in the business, very, very new, early stage. Initially, I got involved with the whole AI thing in my last role with the ANA, really seeing the whole revolution come to life in terms of AI automation and agent building at the large business size tier. And I really wanted to bring a lot of those tools, learning strategies, use cases down to small to medium sized businesses with a focus on lead to sales automation. That's my specific focus. And I guess if I had an ICP, it would be high ticket sales, typically a B2B. I work with a lot of business coaching organizations, not like a business coach, but like for instance, ICF, I'm in talks with ICF in Mexico. They have some urgent needs in terms of agents that I think could add a lot of value to their website and to their funnel, their sales funnel.
Yeah.
So, having more capabilities in terms of widening the scope of what I can offer would be a big value add to me.
Yeah.
I just want to learn as much as I can learn in this stuff personally, because
no, for sure.
I want to be at the forefront. I want people to view me as a resource. I think, especially on the smaller size business spectrum, a lot of the people, they just don't know where to start. right? It's
Yeah.
very complex. There's so many AI vendors out there. There's so many,
Yeah.
you've got Make, you've got Zapier, you've got NAN, you've got all these other things. You've got Clay,
Yeah.
you've got Instantly, you've got 10,000 different CRMs. Where to start, where to go. I kind of want to be directional,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no one answer, right? Every business
Yeah.
has a different situation. So
100%. And I think, you know, it's interesting because I think for both you and for Will, you know, I know you guys you're offering services currently that kind of overlap with ours. And I kind of understand that there sometimes can be a hesitation to like straight up share before getting a quote anybody you're talking to with us. That's totally
yeah,
fair. One thing that I've been doing pretty successfully now because of ChatGPT, and I encourage you guys to do, is take the transcript from a call, put it into ChatGPT, and just say redact everything, but share the scope. And then we'll just make a quote and a
yeah,
proposal from that. And then I think if you guys, for both of you guys, if you want to get in the habit of just like sharing the redacted versions, we can whip around quotes and
yeah,
proposals, and then you can decide if this is a good fit or not. But I think that gives us some more tangibility. I'd be willing to bet for both you guys. I kind of like the case study example I had. I think 30% of the leads, maybe with Will, because it's like more freelancer oriented, maybe like 10%, but like 10 to 30% of the inflow is probably people who we could work with. And if you want to redact all the information, that's totally fine. And we'll basically just give you something really quickly, a redacted version of it, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So,
I also had another question in terms of, you shared the 70 per hour rate.
mhm.
Like, is there, minimum, or, do you do a
Yeah,
volume discount if we're talking about like a
yes.
serious project? How does that all work?
Yeah. So like on the practical level, with all of this, I think it's important to, kind of share that it's a bit of a back and forth before we get it right. And that back and forth actually typically only takes like an hour, honestly, which is in my experience is always how it goes, which is you get someone who's interested, you get a vibe for like what they'll probably buy. You share like a redacted version just to get our sense of how much it would cost. We turn around a quote, a proposal, and everything like that. And then you're like, either hell yeah, this is great. I love the pricing. Like I'm making a great margin. This is awesome. Or you think, this is good, but I like need to have a better margin, right? So we
Yeah,
are kind of figuring out the right price for each individual partner based on their unique business model. Some businesses, the customer is used to paying a certain price. And like I said in my point on white labeling, you don't want to fight the customer. People think you would do. Like, I think a lot of people think you want to do closing tactics and things like that. I never fight the customer. I just like try to get to the point where they're like, oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. So, you know, I think with you guys, on the pricing, I think it's just a lot about figuring out what's right, you know, and that typically just takes a couple messages back and forth. So I think once
yeah,
I get you a proposal, you'll know it immediately. Like this is something I can roll with or not, and we can figure out like pricing case by case. But it just, but I think it just totally depends on like what they're looking for. If you know,
right.
if we're working with a partner who's doing more enterprise stuff, that company is going to be used to paying a higher price, and actually
Yeah,
they want to pay a higher price because they feel like it's like a trust thing. They can have more credibility for charging a lot more. If another company is working with more like smaller businesses, then they're used to lower prices, and in order for the partner to have it make sense, we need to have a certain pricing on our side, you know. So
yeah.
it's case by case, but I will be able to determine that immediately for you, like what that looks like. So
Yeah, and another question I had, a lot of the stuff that I do is very messaging focused, so you can
mhm.
almost think of them as campaigns, and it's
Yeah.
not like a one and done type of a deal. Things change day to day, month to month, and
Yep.
even on the back end, like, nodes get deprecated, things happen, things break, there's maintenance. So I like to get my clients onto a monthly recurring service fee
Yeah.
so that
Yes.
we can keep the system up to date and maintain it. And, if they need an update to the campaign or a prompt or this or that, they're kind of, they're locked in. What are your feelings on that?
Yeah. So it's a great question. And it is also why I'm trying to stress for everybody that website development is now like AI development. I think it's a good way to think about the future, because people are now going to start expecting their website developers to be able to build apps for their site, even if they're just like a normal business. They're gonna be like, "Oh, why can't you just build me an app? It's, aren't you a developer?" So to your point, the website development model was ongoing maintenance and retainers. It's the same thing for us. We just charge hourly because we tend to find that it's a little clearer to set expectations. Like if they say, "Oh, it's 10 hours," and we do 10 hours, and then they say, "Oh, I actually need some more work," they already know that they're paying hourly. And how that looks like for you guys is we just give you the branded quote that you give to them. You collect the payment, and then we just get paid. And we make it easy to where you're paying in installments, or you're paying like in sections that make sense, where it's not we're going to request payment from you once you've had money clear from your client, right? So it's like we want to make sure that's obvious. But yeah, to your point, I mean, we definitely want to aim for ongoing work. It's just we typically do things hourly, but when we create a project scope, it details every line item with the amount of hours and our rate. So that way it's clear for you and for them, essentially. So
Got it. Yeah. I'm just starting to build my outbound stuff and automate
yeah,
all of that. So I'd be very much interested in, learning more about how you guys are building and
yeah,
well,
that's where
what
I can help
techniques are
with you
working.
guys. Yeah, I want to make sure you guys employ my time there if you want, which is just like, let's sit down and build. I mean, again, I want to keep stressing business incubator is what I want you guys to think, like B2B services incubator. Obviously, it's kind of like at a certain point, if you're like, hey, I don't really know if I want to offer this, then we'll probably not keep investing into it. But at least at the beginning, I mean, I want to give you guys as much value as possible. And then if you think it's a good fit, then that's great. But at the beginning, we're literally thinking of it as investments. You guys are
Yeah.
investments. I know you guys are investing time into us. So it's a reciprocal thing. But that's kind of how we're looking at it. And I just want to touch on one thing before I move to Brian is just check this out. This is AI agents. It's kind of nuts. I saw this yesterday. AI agents, this is the growth over just the last 5 months.
Yeah.
22 in popularity, now to 100. It's literally 5 times more popular right now than it was. N8N is even more, right? Crazy. And we do stuff like this, like all the agent building, everything like that too. So that was a huge explosion as well. And actually, if you look at it compared to no code, it's kind of interesting because no code has just kind of like steadily been there in popularity, but hasn't seen like a huge growth explosion like these other two terms have. So it's kind of fascinating. Brian, just want to get a sense for you as well. Like you can keep it quick if you want, or dive into as much as you want. Where are you at with everything? And do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. So as we talked, I talked to a whole lot of different types of businesses, and they have all kinds of different needs. And my end goal is to help them exit their company, but a lot of times they have hurdles before they actually can like be sellable. And those hurdles I think we can help solve with software.
Yeah.
And so having solutions, whether it be like, I mean, there's a lot of off-the-shelf stuff that I can refer them to, but if we can help them build something that they own uniquely, I think that's even better. So maybe that they have an HR problem and people management, and they need a system that helps them organize stuff, or they have like a project management issue where it's just so unorganized and they need a better CRM solution that's custom for whatever type of business they are.
Yeah.
I spoke earlier today with a seller who has an accounting agency, and she's a one-person operation. She did 346 tax returns this year. And
That's
is like,
crazy.
yeah, right. So like she needs some automations to help her, right? Like it could really be anything. So I think having a partner that can right size when it's not a one size fit all, but like, hey, I've got this client that needs to fix this specific problem so that we can like take them to market. I think that would be interesting. And then also, like you said, because it is kind of like the number one thing everyone talks about right now, like I just get a lot of inquiries that are just like, who should I work with to build this? Or what do you think about using
Yeah.
this product? I actually found RapidDev because I myself was looking for help with building a SaaS product. I play a lot with Replit and
Yeah.
Gemini and just started to play with Bubble. I think everybody is doing that, but it's still kind of like at that stage where someone who really knows it can get it done faster and better.
Yeah.
Having a resource, I think, is super interesting to me. So in terms of the questions that I would have, um, I guess it would just be good to see some deliverables that you guys have done
Oh
on
yeah.
like the SaaS side. Like, what are you delivering on your SEO services? I'm a 20-year SEO person, so um, would love to see like what you guys are actually delivering for folks on that monthly fee charge.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's the first bucket of questions is just like work samples, like what's a few pieces of software that you've made or
Hmm.
SEO projects you've led.
Yeah.
Um, the second bucket of questions would be around billing. So you just
Hmm.
mentioned that like your white label partners collect uh, fees
Yeah.
directly from the client and then pay you basically as a subcontractor, essentially. Um, if let's say we decide, hey, white label is not quite what we're going to do, but we would love to go that real estate team route where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
at Virginia Mergers and Acquisitions, we partner exclusively with RapidDev to help our clients, become ready for exit. Um, we we refer over to you
Yeah.
uh, where you guys bill directly. Is that an opportunity that you have?
It's a great question. And
That was a question I had too.
yeah, great question. So yes, that's exactly what we do. I think there's some cases like for example, like I know Will and Ricardo, you guys offer bubble services, so it may be more apt to be white labeled um, in situations where it's not a conflict at all and there's no overlap. Then yeah, I think that's great. And even in situations where there's like a seeming overlap, I mean, I'd love to be able to show just from my actions that you can trust us. I get that there's like some inherent like you don't want to share everything right away, and that's fair. So I'm totally down for anyone who's like hesitant. Just do one and see how we handle it. You can kind of go from there. But I think on the times where it's not overlapping at all. Um, you know, I think that's great. And honestly, I think it could help a lot for expanding the service because you're like, hey, you can see the work we've done, um, and they've done, and it kind of helps build trust in that side for offering that particular service. So yes, that would be great, and we can collect the payments, and then in that situation, we would just pay you out the portion of whatever we collected. So it's just the reverse. So you would think of it as how we pay out commission or anything like that. And we would just determine the margins in advance on what we're going to sell it for. And, usually the way I do it is if there's an initial project that's scoped, that's typically what the commission is for, right? And the payouts are for. Uh, we typically look at it as if we're handling everything and it's more like a referral partnership, we're just paying you a commission and we're doing all the original work. We still want to work in a pretty sizable opportunity for you to make money on it, but also in that sense, we might also, let's say we work with them for a year and then their contract's up for renewal. We'd want to either re-engage you to help close that contract so you can keep working with them and stuff and keep getting paid commission. But at that point, it would be just like, I guess you're just referring them to our company. So we just would need to, on a case by case basis, figure out like, are you planning to stay involved? If so, then let's keep paying you like for years as you keep working on this client. Are you planning to kind of hand it off and we do everything? And that's more just like a referral commission situation. But what you're kind of describing, and I'll leave it at this because I know we're at time. I have one more thing I want to share with you guys, and then we'll bounce. Um, there's multiple kinds of partnerships. I think that one is more of what I call like a relationship management partnership, where you're still involved, and you're getting paid to still be involved because you're like nurturing these people, but you're not actually working on the project. And that's a great type of relationship. I'm totally fine with that. In that case, you would just keep getting paid because you're continuing conversations with the client, right? And even though we're doing work on fulfillment, you're doing a very valuable piece of it, which is like maintaining the relationship and getting them to buy more, getting them to stay, or whatever it is. And I think that could be very beneficial for your type of business. So I hope that answered your question. I know we're at time. So I have one last thing I want to share with you guys, which is, again, I'm going to share the things you asked for. So whether it's redacted proposal, some work samples, we have a ton of those. So I can give those to you. I encourage you all to start sharing with me redacted version. Just go to AI and literally just say, take out all the names, and that way I can give you guys a quote. Like, and you can record. All of us have these transcribers. Just literally do it for anybody you talk to. Just bring it up to someone and say, hey, are you trying to build an app? They say yes, cool. We can turn that around to you. So that's step two. The third thing is, the way these are going to go is when we have these meetings, there'll be an educational component. But then after that, that'll be for the first like 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to go through, ask for your quick questions, kind of like this, but then I'm going to ask you what your biggest problem is you're trying to work on. And then we'll probably break up into one-on-ones afterwards. Like, I'll just set up some time with you guys each throughout the week for like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, because I don't want you guys to all just be waiting around while we work on one person's problem. I want to actually treat this as a way to grow your businesses faster with like hands-on time. So that's how we'll structure them. And I will let you guys all know when the next meeting is. I'll shoot it out an email, and hopefully you guys can all make it. But I appreciate you all. And thank you for being on the first one of these. We're going to be having more, and hopefully you guys choose to grow with us over time. Thank you.